Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to how you can use Baldrige to help your business make the leap from good to great. I'm Mike Kramer and I'm founder of ManageHub. And as you may know, ManageHub is a collection of Baldrige-based tools and training solutions. Our mission is to make Baldrige-based management excellence easily and affordably accessible to all types of businesses, nonprofits, even departments within larger organizations, and regardless of the industry size or stage of development. We want everyone to start benefiting from Baldrige. But as you may know, the problem is a lack of awareness. Leaders want to know, what is Baldrige and how can I benefit from it? How will it help me reduce my stress? How will it help me engage my people and help make me a better leader and help me serve my customers better and become more innovative and productive and, hey, make more money too, right? So today's quick 20-minute session is a Baldrige primer. I'm going to give you some background. I'm going to share some links to resources, some valuable resources, and I hope I'm going to give you some ideas of how you can start benefiting from Baldrige starting today. Sound good? All right, so let's begin at the beginning, which is, what is Baldrige? As you may know, the Baldrige Performance Excellence Program is the United States standard of management excellence, and it's been adopted worldwide. There are over 70 Baldrige-based programs around the world. And as you may know, Baldrige was created by an act of Congress in 1987, specifically to encourage leaders to create highly valuable, innovative, productive, profitable, and competitive organizations. And if you look closely at the Baldrige Act, you'll see number one, Congress wanted to benefit what? Small businesses. You know, it's the government definition of a small business, so it's the mid-market and smaller, 500 employees and fewer. But still, in an era of trickle-down economics, who didn't benefit, the smaller businesses? It's kind of interesting. But the largest companies in the world have earned Baldrige recognition. Here's just a few of them. There's 3M, there's Boeing, there's Xerox, and there's so many more than just these. There's IBM, there's Nestle, there's Price Waterhouse. The list goes on and on. It's a who's who of great companies. And if you're wondering why so many organizations were attracted to Baldrige, you just have to look at the impacts. And the first resource that I'm encouraging you to investigate is the Baldrige 2020 report. You could just do a quick Google search and you could download this PDF. It's called the Baldrige 2020 report. And you'll see the NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, which is the government agency that regulates Baldrige, has compiled impacts across all industries. And it's very interesting. And the most startling to many is the fact that Baldrige award winners on average experience 92.5% median growth in revenue. And this is kind of shocking to some because, what most organizations want to achieve is that pop in sales. They want to grow, right? And they ask the question, how can it be that improving management excellence will help my company grow? And it has a lot to do with the ability of the organization to scale and accommodate more customers instead of losing as many customers out the back door as getting in the front door, which happens in a lot of plateaued companies. They're actually delivering consistent quality to all their customers. It was very exciting. Another link that I'd love you to look at is the nist.gov/Baldrige website. And that's the Baldrige webpage. Actually, it's a set of web pages hosted on the nist.gov website. And while you're there, please download a Baldrige Excellence Framework related to your industry. There are 3 versions. There's the business, there's the healthcare, and there's the education. It costs just $12. You'll get a PDF, and it's an amazing work. And what's so nice about it is it's a framework. It lets you start analyzing and assessing your business holistically. How mature is it? There's some tools that we're going to share with you also that will help you assess that, but please download the framework. You'll find it fascinating. Also visit the Baldrige Alliance website, baldrigealliance.org. And you may not know this, but there are over 30 Baldrige-based award programs around the country. You first need to earn recognition at one of these state or regional award programs before you can earn the national award. So visit baldrigealliance.org. And ManageHub is proudly a partner of the Alliance for Performance Excellence. In fact, for the last 5 years or so, we've been developing tools and methods to help speed the on-ramp for organizations interested in adopting Baldrige. And there you'll find the ManageHub Success Score. We have an accelerator program. We developed a host of other tools, including ManageHub. And our latest and greatest is Baldrige Live, which I'll show you in just a moment. Okay. So now that I've given you a few links and resources so that you can learn a little bit more about the Baldrige program and tap its amazing wisdom, how does Baldrige work? That's the next question you're probably curious about. And here is the Baldrige graphic. This depicts the Baldrige framework in a graphical form. And you'll notice that it requires the integration of 7 essential organizational elements, starting with leadership. Great leaders create great strategies that continuously evolve to the evolving needs of their customers. Great leaders also hire great people, right? Who are continuously improving their operations. And if the organization has the right kind of measurement and analysis and knowledge management systems, and they've created a culture of excellence, well, if all the parts of the puzzle work together beautifully, you achieve the results you want, right? But the great innovation of Baldrige really isn't in these individual elements. You're probably already thinking that you've got a great strategic plan, right? You have hired great people, and you may even be thinking, I'm a pretty darn good leader. Am I right? But the brilliance, the innovation of Baldrige is in the integration of these elements. You almost have to create a management machine. And the more you think about how these elements relate, the more complicated it gets to make sure that you've got everything hooked up correctly, right? And that may be one of the challenges why the mid-market hasn't adopted Baldrige en masse. It's just, how do we do it, right? There's this question. So in order to help organizations start their Baldrige journey, we created this methodology. And our recommendation is that you organize your people into a network of teams. And there are 3 types of teams. There are process teams, there are strategy teams, and there are discussion teams. And depicted in this graphic here is a process team. And your objective is to institutionalize performance excellence by making each team a leader of their own work. And if you look at this graphic, we've identified 7 non-negotiable behaviors that everyone in the organization needs to perform in order for Baldrige to start to come to life. That means the leaders down to the frontline employees have to all agree that these behaviors need to be adopted. So by organizing just one process team, for example, one process team, and engage them in documenting the knowledge that they are responsible for, the step-by-step operating procedures, and making their processes systematic. And by making them responsible for helping to report and resolve issues and ideas for improving the process that they perform, and by engaging them in strategic improvement initiatives related to the work that they perform, and by helping them measure and even trend the results related to their work, well, you can start adopting Baldrige just one process team at a time. This way you can control the speed, the scope, and the scale of your deployment. And you could build momentum. You could see the Baldrige benefits, the Baldrige ROI start to take root. And as more people become familiar with Baldrige, you begin to institutionalize Baldrige in a way that it stays alive in your organization. Also, the benefit of this network of teams approach is it helps create a flat organizational structure. So it makes a very nimble, flexible, resilient organization. And that's what you want. Make it more competitive. All right, that's a little bit of an idea of how you can start bringing Baldrige to life in your organization. Now I want to pause for a moment before we share some of the tools that we've created by just talking about the benefits. Why would you want to adopt Baldrige, right? Well, when I talk to leaders about Baldrige, I often say that Baldrige is pain relief for overworked and overstressed business leaders. You know, it doesn't matter if you run a small team or a department or a business unit, or even if you're the CEO of an entire organization. When I speak to leaders, They all complain about the same basic set of pains. There's stress, there's inconsistent quality, there's employee issues, there's customer complaints. They're putting out the same fires over and over again, which is so frustrating. There's a general sense of disorganization, and the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing, which relates also to their strategy, which they may have a strategic plan, but it's not being implemented. And then a general lack of communication. And then, the most fundamental and important of them all is that these organizations tend to be overly dependent on specific people doing specific work, including the leader, him or herself. And when this happens, the organization can't scale. They are limited because a lot of the knowledge is being siloed. But compare that with a Baldrige adopting organization. Instead of being stressed, everyone is engaged and energized and hopeful. And instead of inconsistent quality, excellence is driving growth. And their employees are engaged. And those engaged employees are creating happy customers. And yes, they are going to still experience fires. That's just the nature of business or running any type of organization, right? The unexpected is going to happen. It's the nature of business. But a Baldrige empowered organization has a mechanism in place to identify the issue and put out that fire once and forever. So they're not spinning their wheels, putting out the same fire and doing rework. And these organizations, these Baldrige-based organizations, tend to be organized and calm and clean. You know it when you walk in. And their strategies are aligned and they're being executed. And the business is basically a finely tuned machine that runs itself. That's the goal. And of course, when this happens, what do you have? You have a highly competitive, a highly valuable business with recognizable value. Well, another benefit of adopting Baldrige is it helps an organization avoid the risk of adopting just another guru type approach. And you've gone to the local bookstore and you just are bombarded with those best-selling books. And you've probably even tried to implement some of these quality management methods. And every time you introduce a new model to your organization, you probably get the traditional eye roll from your employees who say, oh no, we're trying something new, right? Well, when you adopt Baldrige and you socialize Baldrige and help people, you share those links, for example, that I shared with you earlier, your employees gain the confidence knowing that they're going to start adopting our nation's standard of excellence, which is in fact an internationally recognized gold standard of excellence. And one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about this and that the Alliance and ManageHub have been working so hard to create these tools that I'll share with you in a moment is we truly believe that every leader of every size organization deserves equal access to the same methods that have made the largest organizations so successful. We're convinced that if these leaders just had access to these tools and this new mindset, their lives would be easier, they would be improving their quality, they would be more innovative, their employees would be more engaged and energized, and everybody would be working together to create value for customers. Interestingly, if you read a lot of these books, and the more you learn about Baldrige, you'll see that there's the essential flavors of Baldrige are sprinkled throughout these books. Well, why not go to the original source and become a student of it? And then for the impacts of Baldrige and the benefits of Baldrige, I think you should just go back to the 2020 report. You could even dig further and go to NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, right on their website, has a whole list, a database really, of profiles and award summaries related to all the past award winners. And you could sort them by industry. You could find an organization from your own industry who's won the award, and you can see what excellence looks like and benchmark your organization against them. And by the way, that is really the purpose of the Baldrige program, to create role model organizations that you could look to for inspiration. But I think the best thing to do is to see how other organizations have benefited. And if you're interested in increasing customer satisfaction and retention, well, Baldrige is it. You could see dramatic improvement. If you want to decrease employee turnover, and we know the expense related to that, well, there's dramatic improvement in employee retention. And if you want to increase productivity and bottom line results, well, look at the fantastic impacts of adopting Baldrige in these organizations. Impacts to gross profit percentages and bottom line results. And if you're in healthcare, well, your customers are your patients. And look at the dramatic improvement in patient satisfaction and the dramatic decrease in employee turnover. The more you investigate Baldrige, how consistent those benefits occur across all types of organizations. Decreases in net days in accounts receivable. I've been working with a nonprofit healthcare organization, and we topped this. We experienced over a 60% improvement in days outstanding in receivables. It's really fun to thumb through this Baldrige 2020 report because it's inspirational for you, because you start to think about how you can benefit in your organization. For education, teacher satisfaction rates soar. They start achieving their strategic objectives. For example, dramatic improvements in graduation rates, going all the way through graduating four-year college. It's fun to see. And by the way, Baldrige is incredibly impactful in the government and nonprofit sectors. Whatever it is that you want to achieve, in this case for the government, decreases in crime rates or complaints, Baldrige can help you achieve it. There's one more benefit that I just want to mention, just in case you might be a business owner nearing retirement. There's a shocking statistic that over 70% of businesses are owned by baby boomers who are nearing retirement. And according to the AMNAA, over 80% of these businesses are not transaction ready and will never find a buyer. They're basically going to have to close their doors. And if you talk to investment bankers and M&A specialists and business brokers, they'll say that they're turning away these businesses in droves. But some of the main reasons why they're not prepared are all these Baldrige reasons. Their operations are not systematic and repeatable and well documented. Their business is overly dependent on its owners and key employees. Buyers are risk averse. So if the business isn't prepared to be handed over for sustainable growth, odds are the business is not going to be sold, not for the valuation they want and not at terms that they want. Okay, now for some of these Baldrige tools that we've developed. And remember, ManageHub has been working closely with the Baldrige Alliance to develop these tools. It's been a lot of fun, actually, creating these tools with the intention of helping masses of businesses and nonprofits adopt Baldrige. We would invite you to visit ManageHubAccelerator.com, click on the Success Score link, and you could take a rapid self-assessment that will generate 6 individual scores based upon that Baldrige framework: leadership, strategy, measurements, customer, workforce, and operations. In 10 minutes, it'll generate a 25-page report that will give you insight into the maturity in these areas, and it'll also give you an aggregate score. And you can use this to find out what your maturity is today, but also to benchmark against improvements for the future. It's also a fantastic way to socialize a couple of Baldrige-based principles that you could start putting into place in your organization today. Also, you can use the ManageHub Accelerator to help start filling those gaps. It's a turnkey solution that allows you to, at your own pace, start adopting critical Baldrige-based principles. And if you like this idea of developing a network of teams where you could start engaging your people where they are and make them leaders of the work that they perform, you could bring the network of teams concept to life using ManageHub. And the way ManageHub works is one workspace, one online workspace is dedicated to each team. And you simply invite in the people who perform that work activity or are responsible for implementing a specific strategy, and you start engaging them in documenting and improving and discussing and reporting and managing projects. It's an amazing thing. And why this is so valuable is that not only are you engaging people, but you're engaging them with complete accountability and transparency. So you could delegate with confidence, because it's not just delegating responsibility, you're delegating responsibility responsibly. So you don't lose control, and you can have confidence in them as they gain more and more skills. Also, Baldrige is a powerful addition to any kind of compliance program that you're implementing in your organization. And there's a real movement to mash up Baldrige-based employee engagement with compliance programs. For example, there's something called QAPI. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but the CMS, which is the regulatory agency for Medicare and Medicaid, has developed QAPI. And it stands for, by the way, quality assurance mashed up with performance improvement. And it wasn't enough to just gather metrics. Without continuous improvement, those measurements weren't having much of an impact. Also, if you're familiar with ISO has had a recent revision that includes a lot of Baldrige-based goodness. And one of the reasons, again, is that just having step-by-step operating procedures as an exercise really isn't that beneficial. It really has to be part of a continuous improvement cycle. And if you've been watching the news lately, you've seen that there's a lot of problems with cybersecurity. And NIST governs both Baldrige and cybersecurity. And they've mashed up Baldrige and cybersecurity. They call it Baldrige Cyber. And again, the whole idea behind it is proactive, systematic, employee-engaged continuous improvement. And so we've developed a host of tools. Baldrige Live is one of them. There's Cyber Live, there's M&A Live, there's ISO Live, there's CMMI Live. Any kind of compliance program that you may be implementing, we can help you make it easier and better by applying this network of teams concept. And the reason why it works so well is it's easier to eat the elephant one bite at a time when everybody is taking bites at the same time. So instead of just creating an ISO team of 3 to 5 people, you can engage more people in socializing ISO or CMMI or Baldrige or whatever compliance program you're pursuing. You can engage more people taking more bites so that you're socializing and institutionalizing those key concepts faster. And the results are dramatic. For example, with Cyber Live, it's a great way to implement Baldrige Cyber, by the way. Instead of audits taking days, audits are taking hours. Instead of taking years to start addressing some of the requirements in frameworks like NIST or SANS or ISO, within months, organizations are making rapid progress in addressing the entire framework. Same thing with CMMI. It could take 3.5 or 4.5 years to achieve a level 3 certification. One of our CMMI Live adopters achieved a level 3 certification in just 4.5 months. It's an amazing thing. And the reason is that in those online workspaces, you can have embedded a consultant who's giving you always on feedback and support. So you're not waiting for guidance. It's always there for you whenever you need it. And then there's Baldrige Live. It's the first fully digital version of the Baldrige Excellence Framework, and it leverages all the wonderful collaboration features of ManageHub to engage both internal and external resources. And what I'd like to do now is just shift for a moment and give you a quick tour of it. And here it is. Here's Baldrige Live. And the way Baldrige Live works is the entire Baldrige framework is installed within a ManageHub. So here's the entire framework. And you can see, as you drill down, you see all of the requirements exposed. And then if you click on a specific requirement, you get the actual text right out of the Baldrige Excellence Framework with its notes. And then you could invite in the people from throughout your organization. And sometimes it will be cross-functional. That's what you want, because remember that integration element? You want people from operations. You want people from HR and from marketing and from customer support. You want everybody working together to address these requirements holistically, because that's how you achieve that beautiful integration, which is where the leverage of Baldrige is. And then all of the collaboration in addressing that one requirement is documented right within this workspace. So you have an activity feed that gives you a chronological history. It's a great way also to start just doing a data dump of everything you've got related to satisfying this one requirement. And then you can start asking questions and uploading knowledge and start creating a response to the requirement. So here's their current response to this one requirement. Here's a great way to engage your consultants. Remember, most times when organizations are adopting any type of compliance program, they've engaged a consultant to guide them. Am I right? And in most cases, that consultant comes on site to do a training and then to make themselves available to you to lend support from time to time, usually on a monthly or a quarterly basis. And that's wonderful, and you can continue to do that if you like, but a much better way is to embed the consultant right within ManageHub to provide ongoing, online, always on guidance, feedback, and support. So if your team wants to know what do we need to do to complete this requirement, you can have the entire thread of the conversation documented right within Baldrige Live. And in this case, the embedded consultant says, well, reviewing your activity feed, which, by the way, remember, they just dumped all their data and ideas into. So far, your team has identified QAPI and PDSA. To complete the response, we need to know a few things, and her advice is given right within this room. So instead of giving the advice in a conversation or face-to-face where it's not easy to memorialize, instead of exchanging emails that are lost forever or not shared with the entire team, the advice is given within the meeting room, so you can invite in people at any time to see that valuable advice. And then conversations start occurring. Bob answers Betty, and then Sally gives her opinion, and then Tony puts it all together in a graphic. And then Betty comes back and she reviews things. I really like it, but here's what I would do to change it. Key question I still have is, and then Sally answers, and you see the conversation evolve until it's answered. And that's the beauty of Baldrige Live. That's the beauty of CMMI Live or any kind of compliance program being run within ManageHub, because that insight that's provided by your valuable consultants is contained right within here. You don't need anybody taking notes. So this was just a quick review of some of the ways that you can use ManageHub and start adopting Baldrige in your organization and leverage some of the tools that we've created. And I encourage you to visit ManageHubAccelerator.com and hover your mouse over the Solutions tab, and you'll see 2-minute to 20-minute videos on Baldrige Live, Cyber Live, M&A Live, CMMI Live. There's so much value here for you specifically. If you're a consultant, click on Partner with ManageHub, and you could learn how you can build your own live tool that's proprietary to you that only your clients can access. There is so much opportunity. If you run a private equity firm, you could use Baldrige to standardize the way you manage the improvement in your portfolio companies. If you have a supply chain certification program, you could use Baldrige, which is the gold standard of excellence, to drive improvement across your supply chain. Please, I encourage you to continue the conversation with me, because the next big thing, you're always looking for that next big thing. It's hiding in plain sight. It's Baldrige. Here's my contact information. I encourage you to give me a call, email me, visit our websites. I'm here for you.